Hello and a very warm welcome to Cymmetri presents ET Studios Security Strokes in association with ETCISO. I'm Shomik, Assistant Editor at ETCISO, and today we are reporting straight from SecuFest 2024 in the Nawabi city of Lucknow. Now, although identity is at the core of enterprise cybersecurity, it is most often the single point of failure that results in data breach incidents. Even multi-factor authentication is not a foolproof way of guaranteeing legitimate access, as was demonstrated in the 2022 Uber incident. Now, the enterprise has implemented IAM and PAM, but is that a sure shot way to ensure authentication? In this episodes, that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on. Joining me today for a very special panel on converged identity, we've got Vikas Jha, the founder and CEO of Cymmetri. Welcome, Vikas. Seated next to him is Rahul Suri, the head of infra and security at Cosmo First. Thanks for joining us, Rahul. And of course, Yudhisthira Sahoo, CISO at Apollo Pharmacies Ltd. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and it's an absolute pleasure hosting you.
Thank you.
All right. So, to start first, we've established what the context is and what are some of the challenges. We'd want to know what is the best remediation, or also, look back at the way IAM and PAM has evolved over the years, right? So let me start with you, Yudhisthira. We have seen IAM and PAM. I'm sure you've implemented those solutions as well. What has been your experience with IAM and PAM? And we've also seen that multi-factor authentication, as demonstrated by the Uber incident, is not a sure shot way. So if IAM fails, what next?
You are asking me the IAM fell.
Yeah.
See, if we take an IAM because of the to face the IEEE, like identity and authentication and authorization and accounting. We have a lot of legacy applications and we don't have 100% trust on IEEE with the multi-factor authentication.
Right.
So that we adopted the IAM and PAM.
Mhm.
If you are talking about the failure, you are thinking the failure of the IAM and PAM, we are not thinking the failure. We have to add other protocols like the multi-factor authentication. Lot of other protocols also available like Kerberos, PLOS, Dimeter, Perimeter. Like that, lot of perimeters authentication protocol available. If they can focus on that with the IAM and PAM, it will give us the more assurance to us.
I get your point. And you're right about that, Yudhishthira. We can't rely on two factors of authentication only. We could have multiple factors, and maybe that's going to give you more control over access management. Now, that was the story from the pharmaceutical space. Let's see what's going on in manufacturing. So, Rahul, if you could tell us, what are some of the limitations you faced, and how have you seen the IAM and PAM space evolve in manufacturing?
So first of all, we need to understand both are different solutions,
Mhm.
and they have a different segment to cater for. PAM is basically a privileged access management solution, which is basically for my administrators or my super users
Right.
who are my core, who is managing the entire show at the back end. So it is very critical, I would say, to have it. And these solutions have evolved over the years. And I can confidently say, I mean, in 2024, any good big organization should have such kind of a solution. So basically, what it does, it adds two things. First of all, it vaults all your passwords. So the insider threat that we speak a lot
Right.
during any of the conversations, how breach are happening, and insider threat today is a bigger threat rather than the external vectors, right? So passwords are no longer with the administrators,
Right.
so they are vaulted. You can have a policy around it, and they keeps on rotating. Okay, and in case there is an issue with PAM solution itself, there is a backdoor break glass mechanism also, and you can have that access specific to the board or some security officer, right? So via that, there is a way to access the system.
Right.
So that way you are protected. Other thing is it add a vigilance layer also, because you can do monitoring
Mm-hmm.
what those admins are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can monitor what kind of commands they are running. You can keep a track of their activities.
Right.
So in case tomorrow you want to review any change management process, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a very critical, important solution to have, right? Now coming to the second solution, the IAM,
Mm-hmm.
right? So basically, IAM, what I understand, I mean, a decade back they started as an, for end user service provisioning in terms of the application, right?
True.
When we talk about in HR, the hire to retire process, in
Mm-hmm.
which IT is also one of the critical process. Once the employee join, how quickly we can enable them with the applications.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that IAM started,
Mm-hmm.
and over a period of time, we added SSO, MFA
Right.
bundled into it, added a layer of security.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it comes with own set of challenges,
True.
because when you need to interact with application, and especially in manufacturing space, there are a lot of legacy applications also. We
Correct.
are not like any tech companies who are born in cloud and have a very quick turnaround for the application upgrades, right?
Right.
So it comes with its own set of challenges, but definitely in an ideal world, we would like to have both the solution working perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their benefits, and I would strongly suggest. I mean, it should be part of the security portfolio of any CISO.
Absolutely. And those were some brilliant points, Rahul. Thank you so much for sharing that. Some of the most pertinent points that you brought up was the compatibility with legacy infra. And we've seen that challenge evolve with zero trust as well. One of the key principles in stronger identity access management. You do have a problem with legacy infra and compatibility, and that's something CISOs would have to bear in mind. So, we did discuss the problem statement. We discussed the challenges. What's the best roadmap to adoption? And that's something that we would want to find from you. So, let me get back to you, Yudhisthira. So, if you boil it down, what do you think are the three questions CISOs must ask themselves before they strategize an identity management strategy?
First of all, the CISO should ask himself, can the control, meaning the authentication device, will give the 100% assurance? If it will give, then how?
Right.
Okay, if they apply the multi-factor authentication, like not the second factor authentication, we have to think about third factor authentication and fourth factor, and now the fifth factor authentication also. So here, first factor authentication meaning the identity,
Right.
identity you have, meaning something you have. Then the second factor authentication means something you know.
Right.
Then third factor authentication, something you are, meaning exclusively you are. Here I have question, example the biometrics, the FAR and FIR. Still now it is showing 99 percentage only accuracy, meaning
Right.
if you put 1000 times your finger, false finger, if you also will give, it will accept. That means it will not giving us 100% assurance.
Great.
So like that, the fourth factor authentication, some where you are, meaning it will give you the geolocation.
Right.
Then fifth factor authentication, something you are, meaning the behavior you are, the behavior pattern. These are the five factor authentication. If that available in the PAM and IAM, it will give us more assurance, because ultimately managing our legacy application also. So from that point of view, we should welcome to the PAM and IAM solutions.
Right. That was actually a very good point. 1% fault may not seem like much, but then if you're looking at a million people, that's a lot. That's a lot of compromised access. All right. So the same thing, let's talk about your approach. What would be your takeaways for CISOs?
First of all, CISO should be very clear in the objective, what he
Okay.
wants to achieve out of this PAM or the IDAM. What's the roadmap? I mean, is it just the security, or you want to reduce the downtime also because of wrong operations, as it brings a lot of vigilance also with it, right?
Right.
So those objectives should be clear, well documented, and there has to be a top-down approach, because these objectives should be clear with the management. Because when you are implementing these solutions, there is a lot of uneasiness within the team also,
True.
because you're tying them out, right? There has to be workflow based approval, and after that only they can access the system. Even your DBAs, who in the night maybe doing lot of fixing lot of things for you, so that in the morning you are getting a report,
Right.
which going forward they won't be able to do, because they will be under a radar now. So it has to be a top down approach. Those objectives should be driven from top. So once that objective is clear, second, CISO should be very clear with the landscape,
Okay.
and so what all applications are there, and there has to be a buy-in from the application team also,
Correct.
because it involves a lot of integration. So in isolation you cannot implement if there is no buy-in from the other stakeholders.
Right.
So those things should be very clear. Once that is there, the timeline, because it involves a lot of manual effort, right? And these are subscription based services, as I said. So in case you have subscribed for 1 year and 8 months you have done gone for deployment only, you are getting the benefit for 4 months only. So
Right.
all those things should be very clear. What is the objective, what do you want to achieve, what is your landscape, and for how long you can reap those benefits. So once all these things are clear, then I think you have a good way forward for the successful implementation.
All right. So Vikas, Cymmetri has been advocating the fact that IAM and PAM cannot be kept separately. You've been looking at an integrated approach. What does that bring to the table, and how does that address some of the challenges and the pitfalls that our gentleman here brought out?
Thanks. So first of all, thanks to both my co-panelists, right? And they really nailed down the whole issues of the identity.
Right.
Why we feel that you should always look IAM and PAM together, because all these are the part of the identities. End of the day, when any employee join the organization, either is administrator or is the business user, they are part to joining the organization. The difference is that business user is having access to the business application, and the privilege user is having access to the privilege applications. I'm like admin servers, Linux machines, and all that. Now, today any organization want to know the risk associated with your infrastructure, talking about cloud, talking about on-premise. What is happening today? CISO and SOC team and other team member, infrastructure team, they take this data from all these systems,
Right.
and they massage the data and they work on the data, and then they send this data to the SIM and all that XDR, ADR to find this information. Now, even in that also, you will not have that much of maturity to give the risk associated with that, because
Okay.
this system doesn't understand the identity profile.
Okay.
So Cymmetri took a very different approach. We believe that you have to treat any identity as an identity. Talk about your consumer, talk about your privilege, talk about employee. Consumer, of course, you can treat separately, because it's a coming from the outside world. It's your customer. You will treat very separately. Your employee, workforce, partner, any identities, privilege or normal, you should treat in a single bucket. So when you treat in the single bucket, everything is at front of you. Second thing, if I am an administrator, I am a privileged user, I am trying to log in into the system, I know these are the application I have to access, these are the devices I have to access.
Right.
On top of that, today one of the, he said, right, that ease of use.
Correct.
Today, it's not 2000 and 2005 that people is using the security for complexity.
Yeah.
I personally believe, and our company believe, that you have to provide the security for ease of use,
Right.
not for the
Right.
complexity. I'm sure you have also worked in a lot of enterprises. We remember, to opening the one website, we were looking around everywhere, right? Now the things have changed.
Right.
It went into a context. If you are working in the news channel, the news category, I should allow to access all the news.
Right.
So it's all moving from a static to the context, and that's what the focus of Cymmetri is, and that's what always we say. Cymmetri is a converged identity platform which protects your employees, partners, contractors, consumer, and privileged users.
Right.
I will add one more thing. Last, he's talk about the integration. Yes, this is one of the biggest problem which industry has,
Correct.
because the legacy application, native applications, these are the very old problem which everyone is facing. Now, what the Symmetry has done recently, we have launched something called AMIA. What it does basically, we say that it can integrate any REST applications in the globe in a one day.
All right.
So this is what we are trying to bring under the platform of the Converge, and that's what we are thinking to move ahead.
All right, sounds great. Well, I think that there's always a silver lining. At least initially, the workforce used to look at the security guys as a barrier to access, or being a spoke in the wheel. But I think with efforts in convergence and integration, it creates a more seamless user experience for the employees as well. So we had some really, really good points here, and I would like to thank all of our delegates here. Thank you so much again for sharing your expertise with us, and we look forward to hearing more from you. So on that note, that's all we have for you on this edition of Cymmetri Presents ET Studios Security Strokes in association with ETCISO. Do stay tuned and join us for more in-depth and insightful conversations. Until next time, many thanks for watching.